right, good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and kick things off this morning. I'm Samantha, I'm the Director of Education with ClubExpress. I'm just here to be a beautiful magician's assistant for the day. No, I'm here to introduce Steve. Steve is
Not
one
just
of
introduce Steve.
yeah, Steve is one of our LWV sales experts. So he's going to take you on a tour today of Club Express and talk about how Club Express can really help your state league, how that'll help you deal with all of your local leagues, and so much more. So to kick off, just a couple of things. We have a small group today, so your microphones are muted. If you have questions during today's demonstration, you can throw those in the chat. I'll be happy to answer those as time goes on, and we will have plenty of time at the end for open questions as well. This is also being recorded, so you'll have access to this if you can't stick around for the whole thing, or if you want to share it with the rest of your board or any other volunteers, you'll be able to do that. And another thing is that when you're looking at the recording of this, you will end up on our YouTube channel, which is a great space for you to view all of our past webinars and tutorials. They'll give you a really good idea of deep dives into the functions that we're taking a look at today. All of our tutorials are usually pretty succinct, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, and our webinars are a little bit longer. Tomorrow, for example, we are hosting a webinar, Club Express for Treasurers. You can find it on our calendar at clubexpress.com/calendar. And we're basically giving everyone a big tour of all of the features that treasurers would be using, reports that they might be running. So if you have a treasurer in your group who might want to take a peek at some of the features, they can come tomorrow for a deep dive. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass this off to Steve. And then again, I'll be in the chat waiting to answer those questions for you if you have them.
Thank you, Samantha. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for taking time to come up here and explore Club Express and get a better sense of the relationship that we have with League of Women Voters and why so many others are using Club Express. I want to make a quick introduction of Club Express to you. Our first release was in 2006, and we are just releasing version number 66 right now. And we average a new release every 3 to 4 months. That means more bells and whistles, features, and functions just automatically showing up on your site. No maintenance to be done on your end. What we provide is a holistic cloud-based platform. The whole tool itself is online. So I like you to think of it like Amazon or Facebook. I just need to have internet connection in order to get to the latest version of Club Express. The platform itself is broken apart into 4 different components. Because this is an online tool, we need to talk about the look and feel of it. And then there's the public area. And the point of the public area is to tell your story. This is our mission. These are our values. This is the things that are important to us. This is why, it's the fundraising that we're doing. And these are the issues that we are addressing. And it really gives you the opportunity to be able to tell everyone what your focuses are on. But then there's a private area as well. You need to have a username and password to enter that area. Those credentials identify you to the system. So when you log in, you can be identified as a member. Members have permission to be able to manage their own account. They can update their contact information, renew their memberships, make payments online through the system, register for events. If they happen to belong to any committees or interest groups, they will have access to the secured information respective to those areas. If you log in and you're an administrator, and I'm imagining because you're here at this webinar, you will be the administrators of your site. Excuse me, fighting a cough here. Then you'll have access to everything. Club Express is delivered with 26 different modules to help you with all kinds of administrative tasks, to better manage events, communications with emails, blogs, and forums are already built into it. Running your donations and your fundraising already built into it as well. It gives you a more powerful, fluid online presence. So not only do you have your members better engaged, but your time, effort, and money are going to be better managed as well. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to highlight this webinar, though, to be slightly different than what we typically would do, because we're going to be looking at things from the state's perspective, not just the local leagues. We're going to have to draw a line here and say, here are some of the things that everyone will be able to function, and here are some other items that are specific to the states. Is everyone able to see my PowerPoint here with League of Women Voters and Data and Funds Connector? Just want to make sure. So because of the relationship that we have with National, some specific custom functionality has been delivered. So let's talk a little bit more about that relationship. Currently, there's over 160 local leagues that are running ClubExpress, but at the state level, we have Indiana, Kansas, Georgia, Texas, and Colorado that are running it. That means support at both the state and local league level, the ones that have moved over to ClubExpress. The key features or customizations that we've delivered include the data connector, the funds connector, and the chapter finder. The data connector allows your local leagues and your state to speak to National's database, and that's done every single night. New memberships and membership changes automatically are updated through a process that we run every night. So there's never any kind of maintenance that needs to be done on your end, and it speaks to PMP as well. So everyone's always going to be having the same source of data, if you will. The funds connector is how basically we're going to be able to move funds around from local to national, so on and so forth. Here's some quick facts about it. We're able to accommodate, obviously, the fees, but national PMP is collected on a rolling basis going forward now, not annually, and it's based on the active numbers. All these things speak to the power of ClubExpress and why we're able to do it. National pays for the credit card fees whenever anybody takes care of these dues online, and it's been done since February 2022. So no more basically figuring out what needs to be said at National. The system is on autopilot, taking care of all of that for you. Basically, three models that we're going to be looking at are situations. When the local league and state are running ClubExpress, PMP will be remoted to both national and state bank accounts. So this, I believe, is the ideal situation because this is what's going to better manage everyone's time and effort. When the local league is only running ClubExpress, PMP is going to go directly to state. ClubExpress has a third option, though. If they decided to keep their own website, they could also have something that's called a placeholder website within ClubExpress. That means that it's a ultra private, not accessible site except for those people that you've given permission to, and it's strictly used for managing PMP. So you don't have to convert your whole site over to ClubExpress. You can keep your site, but we can have what we call a placeholder or a skeleton site in order to be able to give you that same type of functionality. PMP is taking care of both at the national and state levels in that situation. So we have some options to consider here. The schedule is basically on the 10th of every month. The funds will be remitted into ClubExpress. That includes check payments as well. And we'll take some time to have that settled. And on the 20th, we will make that deposit into the Nationals account, and state will get their money as well. Chapter Finder is basically your traditional Google map where you'll have pins on it highlighting the location and contact information of all the other chapters that are running ClubExpress off of state's website when state is using a full-fledged ClubExpress site, not the skeleton placeholder site. I want to take a moment here to pause to make sure that everything is clear as mud or crystal clear at this point. And all right, Amy's giving me a thumbs up. Cheryl, how about you? She's nodding yes. That seems to be encouraging. All right. So those are some of the highlights that state's going to be able to have that's above and beyond what the typical ClubExpress platform would be able to deliver. What we're going to take a look at now is that typical ClubExpress site. This is what you would be able to do at the state level. When the states are running ClubExpress, this is what all your local leagues will be able to do as well. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So a couple ground rules to keep in mind. Sam mentioned one of them. Any questions along the way, go ahead and throw them into the chat area, and we'll take care of that as needed. It could be just a quick little note back from Sam, or it could be Sam jumping in and saying, hey, wait a minute, someone asked a great question. Let's dive into that. The other thing I'd like you to keep in mind is that the look and feel of ClubExpress sites are incredibly flexible. If you've seen any of the other sites that we've delivered, even within the local league community, you're going to see there's a lot of variables in here. So please don't get locked into, and that's what I saw on the demo site as to the only way the aesthetics can be delivered. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So here's our menu. We'll get back to that in a second. Name of our logo of our league. This is where we can drive people to get more information, to become members, to make donations. ClubExpress is going to be delivered with 26 different modules that help you with all kinds of administrative tasks. The other thing it comes with are widgets. Widgets are items that do a singular task to you, one thing. Examples of this are slideshows. Another example of this is upcoming events. Kind of low right now, probably because of the season that we're in. Not a lot of this stuff coming up in the near future. But this widget will actually speak to our calendar module. And you tell the widget, look out so many days, look out 20 days, look out 30 days. You get to determine whatever magical number that happens to be. Anything that's been posted within the calendar self-populates in here. So you're getting a better online presence, better engagement. We could also, from the widget's perspective, be more engaged with our social media. We will support any kind of updates that occur within your Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. So the way it would work is make any updates on those respective platforms, self-populates in here, automatically pulls it up. That's not the same way from ClubExpress to those platforms. You may turn around and say, this document, this article, this event, this is personal. We're going to keep it local to us and not broadcast it out on the social media platforms. However, these other items, no, we want to have people know about them, and we're going to post them up there as well. So people would be able to see it on Facebook and then be driven into ClubExpress in order to be able to register for it, for example. And these are news that's getting pulled down using our news article. I've mentioned a couple times, ClubExpress is going to be delivered with 26 different modules. It's also delivered with widgets, and it's also delivered with custom content or static pages. These are completely open-ended pages to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You want to provide the bio of your board. You want to talk about the history of your local league or your state. You want to talk about upcoming events or policies that are key to you. There's no end in sight as to how these pages could be used. And you can have as many of them as you want. For example, we're using this as our voters toolkit right here to give more information from the one of our states that are running ClubExpress, Colorado, and these are all the items that are important to them. To build this out takes about the same skill set as running, doing it on Word. So very easy to set up, very simple to maintain. We could drive people online in order for them to make donations to the causes that are near and dear to us. When you are a member, you could set up a recurring donation to a credit card. So $10 to this cause, $15 to this cause, and just repeat it for the next 6 months. We could also broadcast up here the progress that we're having on our efforts, as well as some more details on the funding, the fundraising that we're doing. Getting to the menu, when I hover over About Us, I get this drop-down menu up here. Great way of being able to organize information. Who we are. Again, this is another example of a custom content page. Again, getting that messaging out. We want to talk about the key policies. We can have a custom page for that. We're looking at the public area, so you need to have somebody to wave out to the world and say, do you have any questions, any comments? Get in touch with us. So at your discretion, you can include mailing address, phone number, and who the key contacts are for your organization. We do have some built-in help where you can fire off emails to some highlighted people. Obviously, this list would be customized to your specific organization. To get into the private area, you need to have a username and password. So I'm going to look here on the upper right-hand side where it says member login. Go ahead and log in. I'm going to put in my login credentials, my username, and then my password. I mentioned earlier other well-known online platforms like Facebook and Amazon. Just like them, I could check off on that box, remember me on this computer, and I never have to log in. The system and the browser will remember me. In case I need some help, I forgot my username and password feature here. Just like the other guys, it'll ask you for your name and your email address to do a test versus what's on file. And if it matches up, It'll send to you your username and your temporary password so you can log in. This is the game changer, though, that ClubExpress provides. Unlimited tech support to the people that run your groups. That means the administrators and the coordinators can call us into our Chicago office and talk to live engineers. No ticket system, no reservation systems. Monday through Friday, 6:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock in the evening, a live engineer will pick up the phone. No limit to how much tech support is used. Okay, so with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and log in. I'm now in the private area. Member only information. You're going to notice that my menu here is very different. Privileged members only information. Previously, when I was on this page, I don't know if you noticed or not, there were no email addresses posted. Now they're live links. Privileged members only access. We keep the live links out of the public area to avoid any kind of spam. For my username and password, I was identified as Martha Smith, who just logged in. That's why my name appears on the upper right-hand side. When I hover over it, I get this drop-down menu appear. In the top portion, this is information that's getting pulled out of the directory. This is what you've agreed to share to your other members. Your picture, so people can put a face and a name together, email address and your phone number, how to get in touch with you. This is where you log out of the system. This is where you go into your profile. Now, one of the mantras of ClubExpress is members being able to manage themselves. This is where they're able to do it. Membership summary, just a quick little snapshot. Type of membership I have, my status, when does it expire, my member number when I first joined, when I last renewed, what my current email address is. Whenever I need to make any kind of updates to my contact information, I moved from Hotmail to Gmail. I got a new cell phone. I got a new number. I'm a snowbird. I need to flip that switch to let them know that I'm no longer in South Dakota. I'm in Arizona right now. All those types of items can be managed within basic member information. And again, let's remember the process that occurs every night, syncing up that data with National on autopilot. Additional member data. No limit to how many custom questions you can ask. 22 different types of answers to go along with it. Obviously, we got reports behind the scenes to be able to extract this information. You can format some of these fields where they're mandatory. We absolutely positively need to have this information. Or you could format it where an administrator's updating it, but it's only the member that's able to see it. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Member directory, this is where you determine what information are you making available within the membership directory. You want to show all your information, or don't even list me within the directory. And then you got options between the two of those available for you. We can also track other fields as well. You can upload a photo, a banner, any kind of social media platforms that you're on, and a bio so you can tell a little bit more about who you are, what you're all about. Once you put all these pieces together, whenever you look up Martha in the directory, excuse me, going the long way here, this is what you'll find. Very social media friendly. I got quick links to get to that specific information. This is Martha's contacts, her information, any kind of personal information she's made available, such as her birthday, interests that she may have, bio. Stronger member engagement, more fluid online process. I'm getting back into the profile. This is where I can manage my username and password. Histories. Everything is captured from day one of running ClubExpress. What events have been registered for and attended, which payments have been made, how they were made. If you ever need to go look back in time to see all the payments that were made, they're available here for you. So those times where people are walking into their leadership and saying, you know what, I made a couple of donations last year, can I get some documentation for tax purposes? They're gone. Members managing themselves, they can come in here and get that documentation themselves, simply clicking on the receipt icon. Forums. This is one of the core 26 modules that come with ClubExpress. It's a great way of being able to have more fluid online communications. No limit to how many forums you can have. Some of them could be open. Anybody could read and write to them. Others we could start drizzling some security on. You need to belong to this one committee or this one interest group in order to read and write. Everybody else is only able to read what's happening. Or we could lock it down. No one has access to that forum. your board of directors who needs to have that fluid private line of communication that no one has access to, we can deliver that. It's your username and password that drive which ones you have access to. And the same concept of security that we have with the forms module, we have with the documents module. No limit to how many files you upload, no limit to how many folders you have. Some of the folders can be in the public area for everyone to be able to see. Others could be for all members. Others you need to belong to a committee or a group or your board of directors. Your username and password determine which folders you have access to. And I hope I'm giving you the impression there's a lot of functionality here that people are able to wrap their arms around, be more engaged, and be more active with the League of Women Voters. We're going to get to the menu right now. Some of these items we've already taken a look at. This is about us. Here's our calendar. Take a look at one of our events. This is a very, very simplified version of what an event could look like. When is it? Where is it? Who the contact is? How to get in touch with them. We could track some things such as how many seats are still available. Perhaps you say, we're going to have a speaker coming in. We only have 50 seats. And you can have a countdown, letting people know only 15 seats are still available. We can include pictures and videos in here as well. So it could be very, very dynamic and incredibly dressed up, really selling it. I want to get to the documents. I'm sorry, we already spoke about donations, I believe. Forums are available in here, so you can have that fluid line of communication as we spoke about. The one module I always like taking a look at is documents, because everybody uses the documents module. We have a pretty traditional setup here with the folders on the left-hand side. Simply click on it. It's going to self-populate here with the files that are in that folder. We support all formats, no limit to how many files are uploaded or the space they take up. Simply come here, click on it, and then I can download it so I can print it, save it, read it, whatever I need to do. I want you to keep an eye going forward on this question mark. We'll get back to that in a little while. Over here, though, on the right-hand side, we have this bar that's been following us around. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but when I hover over it, I get my online assistant. I could print the pages I'm on. I could adjust the size of the text, making it a little bit easier to read. And then there's edit. I'm going to take a step back and talk about edit. I've mentioned a couple of times that your username and password drive who you are in the private area. You could be a member who can manage their own account. You could be an administrator who has access to everything. In between the two of them is somebody that we call a coordinator. Coordinators are people who have been given specific above and beyond rights and privileges. You only get to do A, B, and C. I'd like you to think about roles or titles whenever you think about coordinators. I'm the treasurer. I'm the membership director. I'm the webmaster. I'm permissioning you to only have access to those areas. There's 7 layers of security that go along with being a coordinator. My point is this: whenever you see the edit button appear, you have access to the administrative area. So right now we're looking at the documents module from the member's perspective. And if I click on edit, I just flipped you over. I'm in the administrative area. This is where I'm running that module. Once more, that idea, if I hover over any of these folders, they become highlighted. Now I can edit the folder. The name of the folder, where it appears, the visibility. We're talking about security. Who gets to see the stuff in here? Can members upload anything? If I've got documents that I need to upload, go ahead and click on View Documents, add a document, and get this panel open up. What folder does it go into? What's the title, the description? Tags, what are the keywords I can link to this so I could quickly and easily search for it? Who the authors are, any kind of dates I need to be aware of. Once more, visibility, who gets to see this? And then selecting the document, just like attaching a file to an email, I'm able to upload a document, I hit save, and that's it, I'm done. Life's that simple. Here's what I think is the cool part about this. You've heard me say already a couple times that ClubExpress comes with 26 different modules, and they've been engineered in such a way that they think and they act almost identical to each other. If I understand how to use one module, I got a good running start of understanding how to use all the modules. We're not reinventing the wheel. It's going to be the same handful of moves that you do over and over again that allow you to do all kinds of different things. So for example, I just showed you how you upload a document. This is how you upload everything into ClubExpress. So your time, effort, and money are going to be better managed. We're going to take this a step further because of the role of a coordinator. I could turn around and say, Samantha, I'm going to volunteer you to be the director for the documents module. And I'm going to coach you and I'm going to teach you how to do everything A to Z to running the documents module, how to do uploads and create folders and put tags on there, and put security clearances. I'm going to coach you up. I'm going to lay you loose. You're going to manage the documents for us. Thank you once more. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I just gave her a good running start of understanding how to do everything in ClubExpress. It's that idea. If I understand how to use one module, I understand how to use them all. So we're training somebody to use the system becomes a non-issue. Finally, data fluidity. The modules talk to each other. If I make an update in one of them, it rolls out through the system. So I'm never thinking to myself, is so-and-so still on that committee? Is so-and-so still a leader of that group? Those days are gone. The system is managing it for you. So to pick on Samantha one more time, when I volunteered her to be the director of one of those committees, the ripple effect of that included, she was automatically included in the email blasting group for that committee. She has access to the secured documents in the folder for that committee, and she's been included in the forums group of that committee. All those extra steps simply took place. Life's that simple. So I want to quickly recap at this point. We've seen the public area, we've seen the member area, and we get a better sense of who the coordinators are and the role that they can play. Take a moment here to pause because I saw a couple of items pop up on the chat. Samantha, is there anything we need to dive a little bit deeper into?
No, if you want to just talk about the look and feel a little bit, one of the questions was whether or not we could add CSS to the websites, and you sure can if you happen to have any CSS or HTML experience in your back pocket. We have the space for you to apply those skills.
Yes, absolutely. Those things are open for you. Obviously, if you trust the people who are doing it, you can open it up and then you can start adding HTML, CSS as was asked. Samantha, anything else? Or am I moving forward?
Go on and move forward.
Move forward. Okay, so I'm going to tip my hand here a little. When I logged in as Martha, I logged in as an administrator, and I've just been peeling away the layers, showing you the different components and different areas from different perspectives. Because Martha was identified as an administrator, this link, control panel, appeared. I click on it, I'm now in the administrative area. I have a series of tabs going across the top. People, website, money, lead, communications, and support. We're in the people tab right now. And before we start looking at the nuts and bolts of how the administrative area is built out and what it can do, I want to highlight the method of madness we used in laying out these pages. We have these three tabs that exist in all the these three panels that exist in all the tabs. And the information in them is respective to the tab that you're in. By that, I mean, you're always going to have admin functions towards the top, which are the most common administrative functions for the tab that you're in. This is also where you'll find your reports. ClubExpress is pre-stocked with over 400 reports and exports available to you in formats such as Word, PDF, HTML, CSV, and Excel. Run them to your heart's content. In the center area is modules that have been activated, best link to the tab that you're in. And then on the bottom is setup. Now, setup does have administrative functions. You just don't touch them that often. You may touch these a couple times a year, and definitely when the site is first being developed. But for the rest of the time, most of it is going to be spent in this panel. You'll hardly be touching stuff in here. So to better manage the real estate of the screen, things you don't need that often out of the way towards the bottom, things you need to get to quickly towards the top. People tab, admin functions, people manager. This is where I started making manual updates to the system. So earlier I had mentioned that as much as we're going to drive our people to be able to go online and say, to have them change their email address or to update their cell phones, Cheryl is still going to be getting emails. Hi, can you please change my contact information? Well, how is she able to do that? Within the people manager itself. This is where you could be able to add members as well. You would be able to take a look at who all your active members are, or who are dropped, or who's got new money that's owed to you. Filters are already set here for you. So I could take a look at all my active members and then start querying the system by membership type. What category or interest groups do they belong to? Are they recent additions? Are they 30, 60, or 90-day-old members? Maybe I want to have a different line of communication with them, see how life's coming along since they've joined the League of Women Voters. People who owe us money. Oh, this is nice to see. Everybody's up to date. Nobody owes money. Nice. If you have people or your members who are processing check payments, this is where you would be able to do. I'm going to go back into the control panel. This is where I would be able to build out my different membership types and their respective points, price points, renewal expiration settings, calendar, when does it start, how many notifications go out, how do they go out, email or snail mail, and when do they go out. You control all these gears. So you could turn around and say, you know what, 40 days, 45 days, let's go with 40 days. 15 days, negative 10 days, 10 days after their membership expires, that final notification goes out. Just in case I didn't make this point too clear, whenever you're emailing, you get to customize the language for each interval. I set this up once, I walk away, ClubExpress goes on autopilot. Website. This is something that we just brought up. This is where we build out our custom pages, or I could upload photos, so I could create my photo albums, create the look and feel of the site. Samantha, any insight here?
Yes. So this is something that newer leagues won't see. This site was created using what we refer to as our legacy tools. So that just means that you have the option to use the original tools that the site was created with. You can go ahead and click convert to new system, and that'll show them what their look and feel will actually look like. So skip over that message. You'll never see that. But this is what the interface looks like when you're managing your website's look and feel. So you can see on the site editor toolbar that Steve's showing you, we have out-of-the-box templates that you can use. The league has a template that they provided, and you can kind of see what that's looking like here. But this is a space where you might be able to add in some custom CSS that you might have. You can change some of the panels that you're seeing. So at the very bottom of the website, you'll see that there's that trendy mega footer at the bottom. And so you can change that. You can edit the links that are there. Maybe add some more information about your league, add in those social media links. You can see in the top panel that that's where our login link is, and our social media links. So that kind of, sorry, Steve, I kind of took over there. I didn't mean to do that.
No, by all means, do this.
I didn't mean to do that. We're doing a Sunny and Share bit today. So it's a really... Yeah, it's a really easy tool to use. And we actually just hosted a course as part of the education team. It was a 5-week course to go through how you can, make your website trendy and what different design trends we were trying to teach other users how to add. We also taught a little bit of coding. So there are a lot of opportunities to not just, go off on your own and use our help tools to create your own site, but we offer a lot of help along the way. I'll leave that back to you, Steve. Sorry about that.
Actually, I was going to throw it back to Cheryl and Amy if they had any questions, because this is something that was brought up earlier. I believe Amy wants to say something, but can we please unmute her?
I think I can unmute myself.
There we are. Hi, Amy.
Hello. So this page that we're looking at, is this the creation of a template page, or is this an actual page that would be a content page?
Great question. So this is actually just the preview of what some of the changes that you would look like, or that you would make, might look like on your site. So this page is specifically to preview heading choices and styles that you might try to apply, what your buttons might look like. So there's a little bit of everything just on this page. But what's great about our template builder, so this is where you're building your website template, not necessarily all of the content that sits in each custom page. So when you're building out the template for your site, this single page will give you a good preview of all of those features, but you can also navigate around your site in preview mode. And you can see how the changes that you might make to your headings will look on other pages that you may have created.
And can you toggle back and forth between like this WYSIWYG editing and like HTML editing, or is it just WYSIWYG?
So there are a couple of things here within each individual section. Steve, if you would do me a huge favor and click the header top icon in the site editor toolbar. So this is going to take you to the section where you're just editing the individual header. Now, within each of these sections, Steve, if you would select the bottom section that says Advanced Editor, where the LWV, if you would go ahead and select that one and just go ahead and click inside the row and then select Insert Edit Advanced Editor. So this is a sort of preview of what one of our editors looks like. And then at the very bottom of the editor, Steve, if you click that HTML button, so this is a way that you'd be able to access HTML of individual sections. So when you're editing the template or custom pages, you're really editing things in smaller sections. For me personally, I really like that. I'm not a native coder, so it helps me to parse things out and see things in, like I said, smaller sections as opposed to full pages. This is also a spot where you'd be able to add in some additional CSS if you wanted to. There are a lot of different ways that you can do that. And when you're working on custom pages, you're not messing with the template at all, obviously. So your header is going to look the same on custom pages. When you're editing custom pages, you'll see a lot of the same tools, and you'll be able to, use those same skills that you were using to build your template to also build custom pages. And within each of those custom pages, you have the option to either apply site-wide styles that you've used across your site. So for the headings, for any of the buttons, but you can also add in styles specific to that page in something like this advanced editor that you're seeing here.
Cool beans. All right.
All right. And then when you're back on this, go ahead and click revert, and that'll undo any changes that we may have done, and it'll go right back to the original template.
So we're back on the website tab. One of the other things I wanted to highlight here is website options. Do you want to add the show me to your mailing list option? Just have a link up there where people would just be able to drop in their information and be added to your mailing list or tell a friend. These are more driven for membership down here in the login, log out. Do you require a strong password? Yes or no? Well, if it's yes, is it just simply minimal length characters, or are we doing diverse characters as well? How many characters is it going to be? Are we going to tell people every 3 months we need you to change your information? Or do you want two-factor authentication? If you want to drop in some keywords for SEO, this is where you would be able to do it. If you're running Google Analytics, put your ID information in there. Money tab, ClubExpress would be able to run reports as to all the all the financials that ran through here. Only one side of it, obviously, just any purchases that took place or dues payments that took place would be able to be reported on. ClubExpress also links up with QuickBooks as an accounting solution, and there will be a one-time charge to have the two items speak. And this is where you would be able to set up your bank accounts as well. Within the league, this is where you would be able to do data exports to extract all the information out of ClubExpress and put it into something like Excel so you can start data mining it. This is where you would be able to determine who your coordinators and administrators are. Adding an administrator, pretty simple. I'm just going to come here and search. And thank you, Sarah Jones. You're now an administrator. I've given you full access to the system. It's select, and that's it. With a coordinator, it takes a little bit extra effort because I actually need to highlight what am I going to permission somebody to do. Well, I could just turn around and say, it's just going to be that. That's the only thing I'm allowing you to do. Or if you're the webmaster, I could hit check all. If you're the treasurer, I could hit check all. So imagine somebody becoming a member and they're given a username and password. And after a while, they get an itch and they want to serve more. And I'm going to make you a coordinator for A, B, and C. And then over time, we're going to change it and you're going to be a coordinator for 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, I'm going to be an administrator. And then after that, you know what? Time to pass the baton. Somebody else needs to step in here and take over the leadership position. Throughout that whole tenure, somebody is just checking things on and off here, and they're keeping the same username and password. Getting back into the control panel, communications, text messaging is already built into ClubExpress. There are additional fees for it. They have a dedicated line and per message received. So I could blast out a text message to 80 people. If only 15 of them have opted in, we're going to bill you off the 15 that have opted in, not the 80 that you sent it out to. Emailing is already a pre-built service at ClubExpress. We can go back in time to see all the emails that we've ever sent out. They are all archived. Adding an email. Start with the basics. What category of an email are we sending out? Who's sending out this email? Email address and name. Are we sending it out now, or are we saying, here's the date and time I want you to send it out? What the subject is, and is it going to be pretty rich looking HTML, or is it going to be plain text? Are we going to track the opens? Are we going to personalize it? Are we going to get to see how urgent this is? Then we need to determine who's actually going to get our email. We could have pre-existing lists in here, or we could create our new ones. Now, remember earlier I talked about how dynamic everything is behind the scenes with data moving back and forth, but we've already set it up for you. These are preset groups of isolating specific groups of people within your database. And if you absolutely positively need to, you can come down here and actually start building out your own group by adding one person after another, after another, after another. I could take one group and then add another one. Recent memberships, but when you notice when I hit recent memberships, this other menu appeared underneath. It's going to ask me, do I want 10, 30, 60, or 90 days? And I'm going to add them. And then I'm going to ask for these groups of a specific time. And I just created this list. So even when it's a saved list, it's going to be dynamic as people are moving on and off of it. This will automatically be updated. And I'm going to call this Steve Steak 2. And there's my list. So when I go back into edit distribution list, all right, I start getting these metrics as to who's actually going to receive my email. Then finally down here, we have a couple different tabs we could take a look at. This is the first one, elements. This is when you're first starting off and you're building out your template for emailing. Anyone who's ever built out anything is going to recognize these items. But once we start building our templates, we have an inventory of them. Simply just grab it and drop it over and start building out the content. I could continue and I could close it. This is where I can actually build out the template. I could actually send a test to myself to see exactly what it looks like before I blast it out to everybody else. Or I could say it's ready for delivery, go ahead and queue it up and get it out there. Getting back into the control panel. Other built-in modules of ClubExpress, forms I've mentioned a couple of times, surveys can be conducted out of ClubExpress. Blogs, perhaps you have a couple of key speakers standing up every month to give out their monthly message. Great way of being able to do it. System emails. When something happens within ClubExpress and emails automatically sent out. We spoke about some of them earlier, the renewal notices. Also, when somebody makes a payment or somebody registers for an event. These are examples of system emails. This is where you're able to come in here and start customizing the language. And in the world of ClubExpress, pencils means editing. And this would be able to come in here and customize the content. Finally, at the end, we have support. I asked you to take a look at this question mark that's on the upper right-hand side. Well, this will get you to the online administrator manual. Every page that we visited has this question mark on it. So whenever I click on it, it'll send me to the online administrator manual, anchored to the page that I'm on. So I got direct contact to the item that I needed help with. I also am able to do keyword searches off of here as well. Depending on where you land, because I was in the control panel when we did this, if I was in the module, for example, I would have a panel over here with links to videos where I could take a deeper dive into that exact module. We have manuals that we've uploaded here, so you could actually drill down and download those manuals. Earlier, Samantha talked about the videos that we've posted on our YouTube channel. You can find them through here as well. You could talk to other administrators of legal and voter sites, people who are in the trenches, and say, how do you do this and how do you do that with ClubExpress? This is how you're able to get in touch with tech support. Email address and toll-free number. As I mentioned earlier, Monday through Friday, 6:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock in the evening Central Time. A live engineer picks up the phone, and it's been known that over the weekend, emails are checked. And that is the roller coaster tour of ClubExpress.
I think you may have stunned them into silence, Steve.
I think I answered all their questions because they're just
I
sitting
think
there
so.
in awe. All right, Cheryl, I'm going to pick on you. Anything else we could dive in a little bit deeper?
Okay, so Steve, you and I have talked before, and
Yes.
a little overview. I did live in Washington State for 20 years, but South Dakota has a really small number of people that are in the league, and we have like 4 leagues right now, 4 local leagues. And the way that we've been doing things so far is that the state league has an overall page, and then you kind of get pointed to the local leagues. And if we switch, we'll be switching everybody at the same time. The local leagues, how do they interact with the state page? They'll does the state kind of have control over a lot of things, and then like the local league has an administrator and can also handle these things? Can you kind of, I don't know if this is
that's
the
the
place
answer.
for this.
I think I get where you're going with it. And please correct me if I'm wrong. There will be an umbrella website for South Dakota. And then each of the local leagues will have their own website as well. So at the local level, there will be administrators taking care of their own site.
Okay, so because the locals are usually not active, they have essentially page placeholders that only one of them does any work on that. So most everything happens at the state page. So I'm still just as you know, I've been kind of struggling with trying to understand how this works for us, or if it can work in the way that I'm thinking.
Well, I think I don't know. Our relationship with National has been that each of the local leagues has their own unique site. And same thing with the state as well. That's just the way the model has been developed.
So I think that this would be a good, if you wouldn't mind, Steve, talking about content syndication for a bit, because I think
to get there.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I jumped the gun.
There's this feature. We have not spoken about it here, called content syndication. It's been rolled out as an extra to League of Women Voters from one of our corporate clients, who we have a national account presence with, and all their chapters are moving into ClubExpress. So they needed to have this very specific functionality, and then we realized everyone would be able to take advantage of that. What this calls for is to have a more fluid interface between state and local leagues. For example, document sharing, content, events. If you populate it in one, it can be shared with everybody else. So for example, if state puts up an article or a document, or they put up an event, all the local leagues that are running ClubExpress automatically have that update. Done, period. No maintenance. From the local league to the state, a little bit different. If they put up an event at the local league and they want to share it with state, they can do it as well. That will not push it down, though, to all the other local leagues that are running it. It's just going to be everyone needing to visit the state site. So consider the time, effort, and money that go into managing your communications, managing your events to let people know, hey, this is happening at this local league or at the state level. They're simply taken care of because I posted literally one time, and it self-populates to everybody else running ClubExpress. And I think that paints a little bit more of a deeper picture of what you were looking for, Cheryl.
Yeah, that is helpful because we'll have roughly one person doing everything. And if they have to do it 4 times, that's going to end up being me. And that's
not going to end up being you.
Yeah.
No, but going along those lines, though, you're just doing it the one time. So content syndication is something that's going to really bring a lot of value to this. And it's already built-in features, functionality, excuse me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Amy, picking on you now. Anything else we could be helping you with? We never do this, by the way. It's just we're a little bit short on time. It's just the 4 of us. We're a bunch of pals having a cup of coffee.
Yeah. No, I appreciate this. This is good. I feel like I'm getting lots of good attention. So I was just looking at this, and we have 19 local leagues, 10 of whom are on ClubExpress right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that leaves us with about 1,000 members whose local leagues are not on ClubExpress. So if the state moved, would we have to add those 1,000 members as members of the state league so that they would be able to access them for member section?
Samantha, I want to say yes. Do you have any better insight than me?
So you would. I don't know that other states have done that. Typically, when you're adding members to your state level league, they're your members at large. You can certainly add them in, but the issue with that is that when National is calculating PMP, they're basing it on the active members that are in your database at the time. So those members could end up getting counted twice. They'll get counted when your other local leagues would submit their numbers or update their roster, and then they'd also be getting counted on your league as well.
So if I'm understanding you, sorry to interrupt, but if
Sure.
I'm understanding you, you're counting them twice because they're being counted separately, once at the local league and once at the state ClubExpress supported site.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. The way there really isn't any other way that some of the states are combating that right now. The states that we do have, and maybe Steve, you have a little more insight into this. I'm not really sure what some of these states that we don't have all the leagues for happen to be doing about that. I know that you would be able to still communicate with them. You can certainly add in those additional members in your non-member database. You could even add the administrators or the leaders for those local leagues into your database, just so that you're able to maybe include them on communications that you're sending out so they can send them to their local leagues as well. But as far as membership, really the biggest caveat is the double counting if they're being added into your database and the database of your of any other local leagues.
Would there be any way for them, if they were included as non-members in our database, would we be able to still grant them access to the restricted areas of the website?
Unfortunately, no. You need to be a current member of the ClubExpress site that you're trying to enter into. So if they're a non-member, that's great. You're able to communicate with them, you're able to email them, but non-members don't have usernames and passwords, so they would not be permissioned to be able to log in.
Correct. But there are still things. Steve mentioned this. You have full control over what you make member only content and what is available to any website visitor. So if you are talking about your events, for example, if you're already opening up your events for anyone to be able to register for them, they'd be open on your event calendar and anyone would be able to access them regardless of whether or not they were an actual in the database member of your state league. And then, of course, members of local leagues on ClubExpress would be able to log into your website as normal. They'd be able to actually use their same username and password to log into both their local league site and your state league, as long as they're both running on ClubExpress again. So there, just because the content is on your site doesn't mean that it'll always sit behind a member login wall. You can determine what content is available to those members and what isn't. So for example, maybe your event calendar is visible to everyone, but your member directory is visible to members only. And sorry, just to add one more point, just because your whole event calendar is visible to everyone, you can make individual events visible to members only or things like that. So there is a lot of functionality when it comes to visibility and security that allows you to get pretty granular.